For many travelers, the airport represents a stressful ordeal that they must endure to get to their destination, and they're frantically going through lines, baggage check, and just exuding a feeling of unease in the airport. But then there's another set of travelers that seem to move through the airport as if they're operating on a different plane and a different system. Calm, stress-free, and getting to their destination actually relaxed and enjoying the journey. So how is that possible? That's what I'm going to cover in this video. 50 habits that scream pro traveler, that if you were in the airport and you were observing somebody and you see them doing these things, you are like, my fellow traveler, I want to know what you know. And so in these 50 tips, I've broken them into few different parts. The first part we're gonna cover is the art of preparation, because it turns out that having an easy, stress-free trip starts before the actual travel day begins. It starts with preparation, and the habits that frequent flyers exhibit really are not just about organization, but they're actually about mental offloading by creating systems, checklists, pre-packed kits to deliberately reduce the number of decisions that need to be made on the day of travel. And so that way they can conserve their finite mental energy for the unpredictable things that happen during the day, flight delays, rainstorms. And so this starts with number one, which is many pro travelers master the carry-on only philosophy. And so seasoned travelers will generally be traveling with stuff that they can just carry on the plane. Why? Well, because it's not just a strategy to avoid fees, although it does that because many airlines charge you to check your bags. Carrying on your bags allows pro travelers to bypass the check-in counters, to bypass baggage claim when they get to their destination. It also allows easier flight changes. If there is a cancellation or a delay in a missed connection, it is easy to take a different plane when you have all of your stuff with you. At the point that your stuff is checked in on the bottom, well then it's really hard to actually change flights because you got to get your stuff out of the bottom to change flights. And so this contrasts with the infrequent traveler who is generally checking a large suitcase for a short trip, tethering themselves to the airline's timeline and processes for whatever it takes to reaccommodate you if your flight gets delayed, which is then long. The second habit that screams pro travelers is they run bag math before traveling. Pro travelers are intimately familiar with their preferred airline's exact dimensions for the carry-on and for the personal item. That way they can ensure their luggage complies. The personal item that they bring with them is guaranteed to fit under the seat, and the roller bag, it slides into the sizer without a struggle. That way there are no hassles on the day of travel of, are these things actually gonna fit or are they gonna fit on their plane? Now I'll also say, Chris, are you a pro traveler? I would like to think that I am. I would say even on my preferred airline, I will know on certain planes, like on this plane, I can take slightly bigger bags. On this plane, the bags have to be a little bit smaller because they're not going to go ahead and fit on there. Now, habit number 3 is pro travelers for longer trips use packing cubes religiously. I say for longer trips because if you're going for a long time, then it really helps to keep your stuff organized, and it helps to keep it organized in packing cubes. And there are 2 different ways that people use packing cubes. One is to separate out types of clothing. So for example, one packing cube might have all of their yellow shirts, another packing cube might have all of their underwear, and another packing cube might have all of their socks. Another way to use the packing cubes is to put your clothes by days in it. So if you're going for 3 days, you might put day 1, day 2, day 3 in your packing cubes. Okay, now, for shorter trips, the 4th habit that pro travelers employ is the rolling method. How do you get maximum density in your carry-on suitcase? Roll your stuff up. It makes it smaller, and it even avoids wrinkles. So, for me personally, I will do this if I'm going for 3 days or less. If I'm going for 3 days or less, then it's pretty easy to open up the suitcase and kind of see all of your things, and you don't have to rummage through it. If I am taking a long trip and I am breaking the carry-on only rule, say I'm going to Japan for 2 weeks and I'm checking bags, then I've got everything in those packing cubes that you saw before. And actually, this was the packing for Japan. In fact, in the back there, I've got my shoes in little packing bags too. Okay. The sixth habit that screams pro travelers is that they have an pre-packed TSA-compliant toiletry bag. Why do I have a picture of these toiletries at Disney World? Because they're all small and they go on airplanes. This is another one where, like, if you're people who are traveling a lot will not want to always try to go to their bathroom and take this, that, and the other that they need, and specifically because the things in your bathroom generally big. And so pro travelers will have a kit of all of their toiletries, and that's all where those go. those are the travel toiletries. They don't go anywhere else except that travel bag. They go into the suitcase. Maybe they go out of the suitcase, and when things get empty while they're on travel, then they just replenish them in that while they're on travel. Now, this stands in contrast to the amateur traveler who is frantically seen digging through their bag, like pulling out full-sized shampoo bottles, which are getting confiscated. Habit number 6 that screams pro-traveler is easy access to their in-flight essentials. And I just love this picture because somebody put a rabbit. They put a rabbit on their carry-on, but easy access. You know, getting into your suitcase while you're on the plane, really hard. And so pro travelers, for the stuff they're going to want to have with them on the plane, they're going to have that in their personal item or in something that goes up here, but in an easy to open top pocket, someplace that is easy to get to the essentials they want to. And the essentials that they want to get to are packed in a way that they are then easy to get to. Is that a little bit of redundant and dundant? Yes, I think so. Habit number 7 is the pro traveler's digital life is downloaded and organized. Pro travelers leverage technology to streamline the journey. If the airline has an app that they're traveling on, the app is downloaded. Not when they get to the airport, before they get to the airport. If it needs a login and password, they're already logged in and that password is typed in. They make sure they can do those things in the comfort of their own home the night before rather than on the day of travel. They make sure that they've checked in before they go to the airport. Boarding passes are saved to their digital wallet, and as a backup, often a screenshot is taken, maybe even printing out that boarding pass. Maps for their hotel and destination, they're all downloaded to offline maps, perhaps paper printouts as well if necessary. And entertainment, of course, is downloaded before getting to the flight or the airplane because we all know that airport Wi-Fi can indeed be spotty. The 8th habit that screams pro-traveler is that they create a digital and physical document redundancy. Things can happen, we can lose things. And so pro travelers prepare for the worst inevitable solution that things get stolen or lost by creating multiple backups. Have a physical passport, have a paper copy of the passport in your suitcase, have a digital copy of your passport in your phone, in your Photos app, so that you can pull those different things up. Obviously, your paper printout of your passport isn't really going to help you all that much when it comes to getting through passport control, but it's going to help you when you need to get a new passport, having the old one, at least your name and the information that was on it, easily at your fingertips. The 9th habit that screams pro-traveler is they have a curated travel uniform. Frequent flyers often wear a consistent and comfortable strategic outfit on travel days. The uniform usually consists of layers that can adapt to fluctuating cabin temperatures. You can put this on, you can take this off, you can have short sleeves, you can have long sleeves, shoes that can have quick removal and security if they need to take them off, and fabrics with minimal metal to avoid setting off the metal detectors. Frequent travelers prioritize practical comfort over high fashion, aiming to arrive feeling refreshed, not as if they've wrestled in their clothes for the last few hours while they're on the plane. for me. This is why people often, when they see some of my hotel reviews or things like that, they're like, Chris, where is the yellow shirt? And yes, my travel uniform typically is a black shirt. It is a black bamboo shirt because bamboo doesn't stink as much as many other fabrics do. In this black shirt, also all the black shirts that I have a little pocket in them because I like having a place to, if I have a boarding pass or something like that, to like have that extra spot to store it right there if I need something right there. And if I am traveling with shorts, like I'm going from a hot destination to another hot destination, I will have shorts like this, cargo shorts. These are functional. They have a couple pockets on either side so I can put phones, things like that in there. Or if I'm traveling with pants, then they are cargo pants. Shoes, socks. I got a whole set. This is when I travel, it is just those clothes. And these bamboo shirts that I have, I've got 3 of them. They're only travel day shirts. One for the trip out there, and then another one packed in the suitcase for the day coming back. Brandon Torres on the live stream says, I always wear sweatpants and a jacket when I travel via the plane. Yeah, and then for shirts, sometimes you might see in my videos or pictures, I've got this blue shirt that I wear on top of the black shirt. It's a ex officio, really lightweight, long sleeve shirt. It's got more pockets on it too. That just kind of like rolls up and clumps up because it's fairly thin, but it's warm enough. And so that is my layer that I put on if it's kind of like too windy and the air conditioning's really got me down. By the way, yes, many people on this live stream are like, oh, it's Wednesday. Yes, different day this week. So thank you for tuning in if you are on the live. Imperial Viander agrees that airport Wi-Fi sucks. And Travel Jack says, I always print out everything on paper just in case I drop my phone off the side of Swiss Alps. Absolutely, Travel Jack, I print out everything on paper too. At least everything that's important. I will have in my backpack, I will have flight itinerary printed out, all my hotels printed out, maps to all the hotels printed out, and any like train or thing like that reservations that I need. And if I'm going to a destination where they speak a different language, then I will have those things printed out in the language of my destination as well. Because yes, if I lose my phone, someone steals my phone runs out of batteries, my phone breaks, all those things could happen. But the paper, that's paper tends to just work and never turn off. Kathy's just about to get on a plane. Glad you could make it to the live stream. Kathy, looking forward to seeing you here in just a couple days. Okay. Soham says, nowadays for long haul flights, I pack a pair of disposable slippers so I can take my shoes off. Thank you for that suggestion, Soham. I've found on, many like business class, they'll often like give you slippers in there. But yes, if you're in economy and you want to take off your shoes and wear slippers, that's a great way to do it, especially ones that you don't want anymore. Yeah, just wear them and then throw them away. Okay. Habit number 10 is pro travelers pack empty reusable water bottle so that way they can go through security and they don't have to buy a $7 bottle of water. They can just fill up their water in their bottle of choice. I tend to just bring a plastic bottle. I know there are people who bring their Stanley cups or things like that, but I don't like to travel with a big, heavy metal thing wherever I go. I like that, yes, I'm destroying the earth a little bit, but there is something to be like, you know what? It's small and it's light, and you know what? I will probably replace that with one that I will get at my destination too. All right, what am I drinking today? Today, I'm not drinking out of a plastic bottle. Today, I'm drinking Brew Dr. Kombucha. This is berry ginger flavor. Which this this wakes you up. This definitely kind of like opens up the senses. It's bubbly. It's got some green tea. Yes, and it's got a strong ginger flavor too. No Nonsense says, a pro traveler is someone who barely watches the entertainment but just stares into space and uses the time to think. Well, I will certainly say, No Nonsense, that for me personally, I will watch the entertainment on the plane, if it's a long flight, from the time I get on through the meal service. And then once the meal service is done, then yes, the entertainment's typically off, and I'm generally just trying to rest as much as I can on the plane, close my eyes, whatever, so that then when I get to the destination or when they wake me up, because it's, like breakfast meal service, that I'm just more refreshed. And the movie is on little screen on the plane, not that great anyway. Diabetic says, I bought a stainless steel tumbler with a removable handle, so it feels like a bottle on the plane, but I can use it as a cup at the hotel. I tend, because I like big cups. For me, I like big cups when I get to my destination, and so generally, I'm a fast food kind of guy. I'll end up at, In-N-Out Burger, places like that. That's where I get my cup from. I got my cup at In-N-Out Burger, I got my big iced tea, and then I'll just put that cup next to my bedside and use that for a few nights to drink from. If I'm going to a destination where I know I can't get any big cups, then I might actually bring my own kind of like big, big fast food cup with a straw with me. Rudy's is one of my favorite places to get their big cups. Point Traveler says, we love our Zojirushi water bottles from Japan. OC Girl loves her Zojirushis as well. We have many of them. Travel Jack says, I like to look out the window. I can watch TV at home unless I'm trying to sleep. Brandon says, you need your rest or it's not going to be a fun first day at the destination. Absolutely. And Imperial Live Yonder says it's best to download books or movies on your device. Yes, Codgeful of Love says, the hard lesson of throwing bottles away when finding out you can just empty them. Absolutely. And so that's all, for me, that's always a step in the airport. Like, I will fill up the bottle before I leave the hotel or before I leave my house, so that if I'm thirsty, I can drink it. And then if I do need to go to the check-in counter, I'll do that. And the last thing I do before I go through security is I need to empty out my water bottle so that it can be empty, so that I can fill it up on the other side. And sometimes OC Girl and I will have a conversation about, I don't know, does the airport water taste good? Because sometimes it doesn't taste good, but you know what? You don't know until you try it. So you can try it and then you're like, oh, this tastes awful. And then you can buy your fancy Fiji water. Okay. Habit number 11 that screams pro travelers is they pack a portable power bank. A seasoned traveler never relies on the scarce and highly coveted power outlets at the gate or at the airline lounge. There just aren't enough of them, or even on the airplane, because sometimes you might get on the airplane and there's only one between every 2 seats, or they don't even work. And so a seasoned traveler always carries that portable power bank, often keeping their phone charged discreetly in their bag or in their pocket while they wait. That way they arrive at their destination not on 12% battery, but with a fully charged device, ready to navigate to their hotel using Google Maps and just keeping those paper things as a backup. The 12th habit of pro travelers is they tend to book direct morning non-stop flights when scheduling allows. This is because morning direct flights are the least delayed statistically of all flights. Generally, the plane is there the night before if it's an early morning flight, and the weather in most places generally is better in the morning than it is later in the day. Also, if you start in the morning and there are disruptions and cancellations, there are a lot more options and other flights for you to take than if you're going later in the day or last flight out in the night. And related to nonstop flights, pro travelers, all things being equal, will prioritize nonstop flights over connections because they eliminate the risk of a missed connection. Now, it's not always possible to not have a connection, and sometimes it's half the price to have a connection. And so, you know what? Sometimes people might do that, but I will, if it's like, there's an airport that I live like 10 minutes from John Wayne, Orange County Airport, and I live about an hour drive from LAX Airport. And if I have to connect out of John Wayne someplace like Dallas or Chicago to get there, or San Francisco, or I can go to LAX and get a direct flight, I'm going to go to LAX to get a direct flight, even if it means driving longer and going through a more haze of an airport, because I have a much more higher likelihood of getting to the place that I'm actually going in that day. Shan says, shout out to SNA. If you're going to Disneyland, it's the best airport to go to. It is a great airport. Travel Jack gives a good point, which is I also consider arrival time at the destination more important than departure time. You want a nice, relaxing day when you arrive, get plenty of rest for the next day. Couldn't agree more. I really like to arrive at if it's a long flight, I like to arrive at my destination after check-in time. So most hotels check-in time is like 3 or 4 o'clock. So I like to time my arrival so that I get to that hotel roughly in the 3 to 6 o'clock window. That gives me enough time to get settled in, get any supplies that I need to, get dinner, and then turn in by a reasonable hour. I really despise like 6 a.m. arrivals in cities, because then you've got all your stuff with you, you're tired, you got to be awake the whole day. I also really despise midnight arrivals in places, because you get there and then everything's closed, the subway's closed, the taxis are triple the price, and then if your flight's delayed and then you don't get your hotel till 4 o'clock in the morning, then you find out they canceled your room because they figured you weren't coming. All right, so good tips. Kathy is going to be arriving at around 12:30 p.m. to LAX. Good time to arrive to LAX, I think. Okay. Soham says, I used to love flights with a layover, but now I prefer nonstop flights. I tend to spend more in the layover and the extra money. It would have been better to book a nonstop flight. I think it probably would have been. Okay, so that was part one about preparation for the journey to make it more stress-free on the actual day of travel. Let's now talk about part two of the habits, which is the arrival and check-in ballet. And so the transition from the outside world into the airport ecosystem is really a critical phase. Experienced travelers do not view the airport as a chaotic, unpredictable system, but really as some place that has patterns and flows. So the 13th habit that they exhibit is they arrive at the airport calibrated and not just early. What are you talking about, Chris? Well, a pro traveler, particularly out of their home airport, this is John Wayne, Orange County Airport, by the way. A pro traveler knows the rhythm of their home airport. They know the arrival time they should have based on the traffic patterns, the parking time, the average security wait in the morning, what airline they're taking. And so this is where, so for me, I know at John Wayne Orange County Airport, the busiest time to get to the airport is for the first bank of flights that goes out in the morning. 7 a.m. is when the flights typically leave. And so 6 a.m., it's a mob scene going into Orange County Airport. There will be a large backup of cars waiting to go into the departures level. So if I'm getting dropped off in a taxi, I will add an extra 15 minutes because I know I'm going to be sitting in traffic. Now, if I'm going out at noon, I know there's never any traffic. So that's 15 minutes less that I can worry about. So, the whole thing about get there 4 hours early. Seasoned pro travelers, they're not going to get there 4 hours early because they don't want to waste their time just at the airport. They'd rather spend their time at home or back in the hotel or going for a leisurely walk someplace before getting there. But this contrasts to the inexperienced traveler who is going to get there 3 hours early because they just haven't bothered to pay attention to any of those things or know enough to know what the rhythms are. The 14th habit that screams pro traveler is going to the airport. If they're driving, they have a parking strategy. They don't just wander aimlessly through parking structures. They don't just arrive and then try to figure out where they're going to park. Many will have a pre-booked parking spot that they've reserved online to negotiate a better rate and a guaranteed space. Pro travelers know which parking lot offers the most efficient access to their specific airline's terminal, and pro travelers will also take a picture of their parking spot so that they can then remember where they parked when they came back. Actually, it's not so that they have to remember when they come back. As I told you, a lot of this is all about taking things out of pro travelers' heads so that they don't have to worry about it. If you take a picture, then you don't have to remember where you parked. All you have to do is remember that you took a picture. Then you go back when you get there and be like, okay, what level and what space did I park in? When I go, so David talks about Orange County and LAX, that the LAX economy structure has been a lifesaver, especially with the shuttle they provide. Absolutely. So if you fly out of LAX regularly, the new economy parking structure they've opened is great because it has a shuttle bus that doesn't get caught up in the LAX traffic. And yes, that is now my preferred place to park at LAX, but it didn't used to be. I used to have other places, and I'm like, ooh, this new place opened. Let me go give that a try. That is so much better. Let me do that from now on until I see some other new thing that opens up. Rod says, aloha, Chris, your videos help me a lot with my travel anxiety. I appreciate your hard work on your travel videos. Rod, hopefully these are some more tips to help lower your travel anxiety too. Yes, and Databetic says, then the People Mover is going to open at LAX, which is going to be super great. Then that'll actually go to that economy parking structure too. So looking forward to that. Okay. The 15th habit that screams pro travelers is that if they are checking bags, they will use the curbside check-in if available or the bag drop shortcut. Many airlines, in order to unclog the place where inexperienced travelers go, that they're all printing their boarding passes and checking at the airport. If you've checked in online, if you had to pay for your bags, if you've done that online, then many airlines will just have a special, like, super short line that you go to that basically says, like, just drop bags here. So pay attention to that if it's available. The 16th habit that screams pro travelers is they are members of trusted traveler programs. Definitely one of the most visible indicators of a frequent flyer is the membership in these programs. In the USA, there are 3 of them. There is TSA PreCheck, there is Clear, and there is Global Entry. This investment in these programs gets them access to shorter lines through security, customs immigration, various things. Then they don't have to remove their shoes, laptops, light jackets. Every country has their own, but if you're traveling a lot, these things are absolutely priceless. Canyon Overlook asked about parking. Do I park for 2 weeks at LAX? It depends. I mean, so for us, living in Irvine to LAX, it's about 45 minutes, a 45-mile drive, which an Uber can be, it's, with surge pricing, can be like $200. So if we can park for like $300 or less, then we will park at the airport instead of taking a rideshare or an Uber. So, I mean, that's just the math that you have to do about like where you live, what's the cost of an Uber, and then, you know, what do you see as the parking rates. LAX has a lot of parking sales, so we tend to, like, I'm subscribed to the LAX parking mailing list, and then they'll send out promo sales, and then that's when I'll book my parking. So like I wait for the sales, and I might book my parking 3 months in advance, and then if there's a better sale, I cancel that and book the other sale. But at LAX, the pre-booked parking can be like half the price of a day of parking if you just arrived at the parking structure and pull a ticket. Brandon points out we're almost at 50 likes. Can we get a few more? We've got 134 people on, so if you've not hit that like button, please do so. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and it doesn't cost you anything except, well, one more click of your mouse. That's all it's going to cost, so thank you so much. Okay, the 17th thing that screams pro travelers is they know their terminal and their airline location. They don't get to the airport and then try to figure those things out. Those things are factored into their arrival, so they look them up before they go. What terminal is United Airlines in LAX? Or if you're flying American Airlines at LAX, it operates from Terminal 4 and it operates from the Tom Bradley International Terminal. And so which one are you actually going to is important. Or where do you check your bags in, even though it might fly out of a different, this is not a video about LAX, but these are like things about airlines. Like at airlines, Spirit Airlines, for example, many airlines, they fly to the international terminal, but you actually have to check your bags in over in Terminal 1, but they leave at a different gate. So those are all important things to figure out, not when you get to the airport and try to figure it out and realize you were dropped off in the complete wrong place, but the night before, or the day before, or a week before, sometime before you go. The 18th habit that screams pro traveler is they count their bags at every transition, from the time they get out of the car, from the time they board an airport shuttle, from the time they get off the airport shuttle, for the time they get on the airport train. After they go through security, they count their bags and say like, okay, I have, if I'm 5 bags. So this is like O.C. Girl and I and the Curious Princess when we're in Japan, I think. It looks like Japan. So we're like, okay, we have here, well, 4 real bags, right? 2 big suitcases, a backpack, and a little backpack. There's also a little little shopping bag there, but that's not one of the main ones. But it's like getting on an airplane. I've got 2 bags. Getting off the airplane. Do I still have 2 bags, or did I forget? And I've only got 1 bag, and I left one up there. No, I better have all my bags with me. I would say this idiot check is a powerful preventative measure from leaving a critical item behind. Yeah, Databetic says green sign is Shinkansen. Yes, I'll make that big and I can actually see. Yes, the green sign is to the Shinkansen tickets. I think this was in Ueno Station in Japan. Okay. Remy D says a must-have is a travel scale so you can keep your checked luggage under the allowed maximum weight. Thank you for the tip, Remy D. We absolutely have a travel scale. You can buy them on Amazon for like $15. They're not a big scale that you weigh it on. They're a thing that you like wrap around the handle and then lift up, and it'll tell you how heavy your bags are. Yes, and Travel Jack says also, in addition to the bags, doing the check of, do I have my keys, wallet, phone, money belt, passport, bags? Yeah, for me, I've got the like the pat down of things. So, you know, if I'll have my phone over here in this pocket, and I've got my wallet in this pocket, and I've got my keys up here in this like front pocket up here, you know, these are taps that I'm doing. I'll be like, wallet, I can feel it. Phone, I can feel it. Keys, I can feel it down here. So that's my... Whenever I go through security, I always do that too. So if I take those things out and I put them in a backpack for security, then as soon as I get through, then I put them back in my pockets and I'm tapping to make sure I've got all those things where they should be. Okay. So we've been through part 1, which is preparing for travel. We've gone through part 2, which is arriving at the airport. Speaking of security, now we're going to talk through part 3, which is the security screening Symphony. And for the uninitiated, the security checkpoint is a stressful, confusing, often frustrating bottleneck. But for the seasoned traveler, it's a choreographed performance, a symphony of executed efficiency and practiced precision, which really is a non-issue. I've been with so many people saying like layovers, like when I have a connection and, you know, like, what are you going to do? I'm going to go outside the airport and I'm going to eat something out there. And people be like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to go through security again. I'm like, it's easy. What's the big deal? But then again, I have TSA PreCheck and everything is set up in my luggage to easily go through, easily go back. So not a big deal. Okay. But 19, habit 19 is they know the security lane options. And by options, I don't just mean PreCheck or not PreCheck, but they know are the different terminals connected airside. If the line at Terminal 1 is long, is the line at Terminal 2 shorter? At my closest home airport, John Wayne Orange County Airport, 3 terminals, Terminal A, Terminal B, Terminal C. Terminal C is where Southwest Airlines flies out of. They have the majority of the flights throughout the day at Orange County Airport. Terminal A and B are United, Delta, American Airlines. They have less flights, more long-haul flights, more focused in the morning. So I know that if I'm flying Southwest and it's at noon and the line is busy at the Southwest gate area, I can walk over to Terminal B, which is the United area, and go through security there because there's no United flights at noon, waltz through the security and walk back to the Southwest gate area, all much faster than had I stood in the Southwest security line. And so, but those are things where like pro travelers will look at the map of the airport to understand that and understand their options so that they know what their options are when they actually get there. Habit number 20 is pro travelers will read the room before choosing a security lane. Taking a look at them and be like, okay, if I've got 5 lanes to choose from, you know what, which one has the least amount of strollers, which one has the least amount of elderly people, which one has the least amount of kids. I'm sorry, not every kid is like the Curious Princess. She's pretty good through the security checkpoint because she's been through it like 100 times now. But they will look at the line and then pick the line that's like, okay, this looks like the one that has the most seasoned travelers through it. I'm not going to have a problem standing behind these people. The 21st habit that screams pro traveler is they prepare while they're in line. While they're in line for the security checkpoint, that's when they're starting to put things in their suitcase, put things away, take them out of their pockets, not waiting just till they get to the belt. Same thing, if they have to show their ID, then they're gonna have that out before they get to the ID person. They're not gonna then be fumbling with their wallet or fumbling with their digital thing, realizing their phone was turned off once they get to the front. Databetic points out that in Honolulu, depending upon which TSA checkpoint you use, it may require an additional USDA x-ray for fruits, etc. Absolutely. So that is one more check you have to go through in Hawaii. Daniel says, what do you do with old computers, phones, and cameras? I keep them in a stack. That's what I do. I have many of my old phones, many of my old computers, because I never know. I never know when I might need them. or when I might be useful. So there we go. Brandon says it's definitely a symphony of lines. A symphony, indeed. Blazer says, I usually try to find the security farthest from the main doors, usually quicker as people don't like to walk so far. Absolutely true, Blazer. Thank you for that tip. Yes, people are like, where's the closest place I can go? And if there's one a little further away, usually the lines are shorter there. Okay. Okay. 22, habit number 22 is their electronics and their liquids are on top. So if they do have to take things out, then the important things like their electronics or their liquids or their child are just easily on top that they can take out. They don't have to rummage through their suitcase for all the stuff they have to take out. Habit number 23 is they know the script when it goes through security. So there was a comment in the chat about Shan says, thankfully TSA no longer requires shoe removal, which absolutely is really nice. So what do you have to do? Do you need to take off your belt? Do you need to check off your jacket? Do you need to take out your liquids? Do you not need to take out your liquids? But they know the script. And if they're in a place where they don't know the script, then they will generally ask to be like, do I need to take out my laptop? Do I need to take out my iPad? Can these stay in here? So that they avoid the frustration of, man, why didn't you take out your electronics? Let's run it through another time. It's much better to go through without having to go through secondary inspection. The 24th habit that screams pro traveler is they use bins efficiently. And they will know how many bins they need. And if they need 2 or they will need 3, pro travelers will grab that many bins at one time, put them out, and start putting their things in it very quickly, because this is the level of Tetris that they do all the time to put their stuff through. Put it in, send it in, put it in, send it in, put it in, send it in, off to the metal detector. Or the whatever, or the nudoscope that we go through now. Yeah, that's right. Okay. The 25th habit that screams pro traveler is their phone doesn't go loose in the bin. Doesn't go loose in the bin. Their wallet doesn't go loose in the bin. Their phone and their wallet and their keys all go inside some other bag, because things that are in another bag will get taken with you. Things that are loose in the bin have a tendency to get left in the bin. So same thing. Habit number 26 is they also won't put their cash or their coins in the bin, because those things get left there. So those will be also in a bag, not in the bin. The 27th habit that screams pro traveler is they clear the belt immediately. They're not sitting there at the end repacking all their stuff right there while other bins are piling up. They'll pick up their bins and they'll take them over to the spot where you can repack things if it's going to be quick. If it's going to be long, if it's going to be quick. So for me, it's pretty quick. I generally just pick up my bags and I go. And yes, when I want to put my wallet and phone back in, I'm doing that over at the bench or the repack station or whatever they've got there. And the 28th thing that screams pro traveler is they then repack in a consistent order. The reassembly process is the same quick practice motion, and it takes less than a minute, because all the things that have been stowed for X-ray are all always in the same place, and it's the same number of things that go in, and then it's the same number of things that go out. They take those out, they do that, they zip their bags up, and they are on the way, demonstrating the flow in the system. Cottage Full of Love says, OMG, the people who pull shoes out one at a time of the bin to put them on. Yes, that then you're standing behind going like, Travel Jack says, get to the gate at least 30 minutes before departure. Boarding often closes long before departure time. That is a good tip, Travel Jack. Jack says, Chris, if you only had one credit card for the rest of your life, which would it be? It would be the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Okay. And Larry says, pro travelers are often more patient as they go through the process. Indeed, they are. The 29th habit that pro travelers exhibit is they wear socks. This is a minor detail with a major impact of hygiene and comfort. They know that airport floors are notoriously unclean and would never subject themselves to walking barefoot through the security scanner or on the airplane if they like to take off their shoes. We also heard the previous comment of or bring yourself some disposable slippers. Okay, we're now going to go on to part 4. We've been through preparing, we've been through arriving at the airport, we've been through going through security. Now we're going to talk about mastering the terminal and the gate. So the time between clearing security and boarding the aircraft is where the difference in mindset between a seasoned traveler and a novice could in fact be the most apparent. The the infrequent traveler really perceives this time as an interval of a void, a period of anxious waiting to be filled with mindless scrolling or aimless wandering. The pro, however, views this as a valuable time with optimized for productivity or wellness or relaxation and final pre-flight preparations. Their actions are not about killing time. They are strategically invested to improve the overall travel experience. So what are those things that can improve the overall travel experience? Well, habit number 30 is that pro travelers will immediately find their gate and then retreat, if possible. What do I mean if possible? Well, the important thing about finding your gate is knowing where it is, seeing that it's on a screen. These things are all super valuable. And then if they're gonna go to a lounge, or then if they're gonna go to a restaurant, or then if they're gonna go to these things, they'll do all that. Now, some people listening, you might be a seasoned traveler, you might be like, Chris, I don't do that because I know where it is and I see it on the sign and I can see it over there. That's all well and good. But for people, and I'll say at my home airport, I don't quite practice this so much when I'm out of Orange County, but when I'm in some place like Singapore or London or Kuala Lumpur, I don't know the airport. I don't particularly know how long it is to walk from here to there or something like that. Then the first thing I want to do is I want to find my gate. Like, okay, there's my gate. That's where my plane is going from. I can now go do other things, and I know how to get here, and I know where there is. But related to then retreat, pro travelers, they're not gonna sit just around the gate because the gate is crowded, congested, it's noisy. If they're gonna sit around and relax, they're gonna find a less busy, less crowded place to relax. So they will choose habit number 31, calm over proximity. So instead of fighting for a seat directly at the crowded gate, they'll look for a seat in an adjacent empty gate. From this vantage point, you can still see the gate that you're leaving from, and you can hear the boarding announcements, but you know, it's a 30-second walk for an hour of peace and quiet. Habit number 32 is they use the restroom right before boarding. And this is like a strategic time of knowing what time boarding is, knowing where the closest restroom is to the gate, and using that gate, not when they call for boarding, but before they call for boarding, so that way when they do call for boarding, you're not having to make the bladder strike and find the line is too long, and then can't use it, and then have to get on the plane. So this strategic bladder strike minimizes the chance that they'll have to use the restroom on the plane during the busy boarding times, or during the time when the seatbelt sign's illuminated and you can't go. And, you know, honestly, airport bathrooms are, I mean, they're not always fantastic, but they're usually better than the ones that are on the airplane. Kathy, who's at the Sydney airport right now, is sitting at an adjacent gate that is empty. Very good, pro traveler Kathy. You get a gold star. Okay. The 33rd habit that pro travelers exhibit is they never crowd the gate. They remain comfortably seated until their specific boarding group or zone is called. They understand that joining the swarm of people who rush the podium accomplishes nothing and only adds to the collective stress and chaos of the boarding process. The counter to this is if there is a line, say here for United, you get a lot in boarding group 1, boarding group 2. Then they'll go get in their line for their boarding zone, but they won't just be in the swarm of this mob that has to be close and huddle for safety. Pro tip number 34, or pro habit number 34, is they are boarding ready. When their group is finally called, they are prepared for the seamless transition. Their boarding pass is already open on their phone, or their paper is already out. Their headphones are put away. They are ready to scan and walk through without fumbling when they get to the front to ensure the line moves smoothly. 35th habit that screams pro travelers is they board and stow with precision when they get on the plane. When they reach their row, it is a practiced swing and stow. That's it. Swing and stow, personal item under the seat, sit down. And then if I need to put some stuff in the pocket, I can do that while I've got my stuff at my seat. Habit number 36 is if their overhead bin is full over their seat, they will use an earlier overhead bin rather than a later overhead bin. Why? Because if they're using a later overhead bin, they can't get it easily when they leave the plane because they stand up and they can't go backwards. But if they use an earlier bin, they'll be scanning ahead to look and see if their bin is open. And if it's not, then the row before or the row before, they will stow their suitcase in that one so that then when they leave the plane, they can just walk forward, pull their suitcase down, and keep going. Easy day. Also, if it's in a bin ahead of them, they can see it. So if people are tampering with it, trying to steal their luggage, they can see where it is. But if it's behind them, unless they have eyes in the back of their head, can't see what's going on there. The 37th habit that screams pro travelers is they pay attention to the in-flight food. What is it? Is it buy on board? Is it complimentary? Is it nothing? And they bring their own food when necessary, either from home or purchase at the airport. I think many pro travelers, if they're going to an airport that has awful food, I've been through some of them, then they might bring their own snacks from home or from the supermarket in their travel destination because many snacks and things like that are a lot cheaper bought outside of the airport compared to most airports. Or here, I got the lounge. I will tend to like pre-fuel at the lounge, airport lounges. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about airport lounges up when we get to number 44. Okay. The 38th habit of pro travelers is they sanitize their space. And maybe this is just the germaphobe seasoned traveler, but you know, the airlines, many of them now hand out like sanitizing wipes, this and that. And so like, it's worthwhile. Use it. If you've got it, like clean up your space and make it nice. The 39th habit that screams pro travelers is they set their watch to the destination time zone. When do you set your watch to the destination time zone? As soon as your wheel's up and in the air, because you never know boarding a plane, whether that plane's actually going to go and it's going to take off. High likelihood that if it's on the ground, it might stay on the ground. But when wheels up, chances are 99% of the time you're going to get in the direction when you're going. And so that's the time to set their watch ahead to the destinations they're going to. That helps the pro traveler begin the mental process to adjust their internal body clock to the new schedule. The 40th habit that screams pro travelers is they track their inbound aircraft, whether that be on the screens that say like arrival time, whether that be on the airline's app that they're using, or whether that's on some other flight tracking app like Flight Aware. They monitor the status of the aircraft coming in to see has it left its departure airport? Is it on time? Because those are all the things that their flight that they're going on might not yet say delayed. But if the inbound aircraft is delayed for 2 hours, the airport just hasn't delayed the departure one yet because they don't know how long to delay it for. So it's helpful to know. If you already know the inbound aircraft is delayed 2 hours, you might plan your day in a certain way to be like, okay, well, this one's going to be delayed an hour. So let me delay how I'm going to eat. Let me delay how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to wait for that delay notification because I know it's coming. Brandon says, I always use a flight tracker to keep track of it. What is your favorite, Brandon? Points Traveler's favorite is apparently Flight Radar 24. And Laura has to go to bed. Good night, Laura. All right. Boop. Okay. So now we're in the fifth and final part of these habits. We've talked about preparing. We've talked about security. We've talked about the time at the gate area. Now we're going to talk about how pro travelers handle disruptions and just a few more kind of advanced hacks and tips in the airport. So starting with handling disruptions, people always ask me about this a lot. Chris, how do you handle disruptions? I have a whole video about how to handle flight delays, but the short version in this video with 49 other things is that the moment a cancellation is announced, a race begins for the seats, the available seats on the next flights. The pro traveler knows not to join the massive, slow-moving line at the gate or the customer service desk. Instead, they launch a multi-channel assault. They call the airline's customer service line. If they're an elite traveler, they might call that line. They might also look on the airline's mobile app. I tend, if the line at customer service is huge, to actually go out of security and to the ticketing area where I can see the agents out there. If I know I'm back at John Wayne Airport and I know I just went through there and there's no line and my flight gets immensely delayed or canceled, I'm like, I was just out there and I saw there were no people. So I'm gonna go back out there again and talk to those people about the flight that I just was canceled. Not being sheeple, I would say. The 42nd habit that screens pro traveler is they propose solutions and not problems. So the pro traveler, before they even connect with an agent, they're already researching alternatives. They use flight search tools to find other viable alternatives to where they're going, on the same airline, on partner flights, even to or from nearby airports. And so when they speak to an agent, they don't ask a vague question like, what can you do for me? Instead, they present a concrete solution. My flight to Dallas was just canceled. I see there are 2 seats left on flight 856 to Dallas. Can you please put me on that one? This transforms the request from them of like, oh, a problem-solving session to a very simple one where they can just service your request, ultimately making their job easier and dramatically speeding up the process. The 43rd thing that screams pro traveler is they know their rights. Experienced travelers are familiar with the rules and regulations in their country related to what rights, whether they know whether they're entitled to a cash refund or whether they're entitled to things for controllable delays or uncontrollable delays. They know when they're entitled to a meal voucher, and they will politely but firmly advocate for the compensation they are owed. The 44th thing that screams pro traveler is they appreciate airport lounges. They understand that airport lounges are not just for first-class passengers, but they are accessible sanctuaries that can be invaluable during long delays. They gain access to these airport lounges through various means, either having a premium travel credit card, an airline co-branded card, airline status, purchasing a day pass. There's many different ways to get in there, and they might also know some of the best and worst ones at various airport. Like I know to always avoid the Centurion Lounge at Las Vegas. That lounge, as always, has a 2-hour line to get into. Airline lounges, like a United lounge or a Singapore Airlines lounge, will also often have ticketing agents in those lounges. So if you have access to that lounge because you're an elite member, you got the credit card, or you can buy in, those ticketing agents are some of the best in the lounges and can often do the most extraordinary things for you. Yes, Blazer says it looks like the Vegas Centurion Lounge. Good eye. Good eye. Okay. The 45th habit that screams pro traveler is they cultivate kindness with staff. In every interaction, even with stressful disruptions, they remain calm, polite, and respectful. They address the airline staff by name, if possible, if they've got a name tag. Hey, Laura, how you doing today? They understand that the gate agent or the phone representative who's been dealing with angry passengers all day is far more likely to go the extra mile for someone who treats them with empathy, and kindness. The 46th thing that screams pro traveler is they perform that final idiot check before they leave the plane. I talked about this before. That's the counting your bags, making sure you got all your stuff. Here, it's more than just stuff. It's like, did you have an iPad? Did you have a headphone? Do you have your daughter with you? You know, doing that count, like, okay, I've got all those things, and I didn't leave anything in the pocket. I didn't leave anything between the cushions, and I didn't leave anything up in the overhead bin, or nothing fell out of my bag up there. 47th habit that screams pro traveler is they have a couple of plans for how to get to their destination. They have a plan A and they have a plan B. Their meticulous planning extends to their arrival, saying, well, my plan A might be to rent a car. I don't know, because maybe this isn't a good one if you're renting a car. This was a long line. Long line for rental cars. But like a Las Vegas airport, sometimes this is the line for like taxis or rideshare. I mean, I've had the experience with rental cars where like I've gotten to an airport and not seen this line for the rental car. Well, I took this picture, so I saw this line for rental car shuttles. But like, say I'm renting a car with budget, and like the line is like 400 people long for budget. They've got no cars left. I'm like, okay, let's plan B. Is it close enough that I can take a taxi? Is it not? Is it too far? What are my other options? Pick another rental car company, take an Uber to another rental car company. So those are all the things that a pro traveler will have and think about, and not if it's a 3-hour line to get a rental car from budget, but if it's like 2 minutes to get them from Alamo, get it from Alamo. There we go. The 48th habit that screams pro traveler is they pack a change of clothes in their carry-on, even if they check a bag. For those rare journeys that do require a checked bag, and you might misconnect someplace, or your luggage might have went ahead and you don't get to it and you're stuck in a city overnight, it's really nice to have a fresh change of clothes, even just as your pajamas for the night in the hotel. By the way, something also to know, if you do misconnect places, like you're booking up in a hotel, things like that, airlines will often have amenity kits too. Same thing if they lose your luggage. If they lose your luggage, you can often ask the airline for an amenity kit, which will have things like a toothbrush, a comb, deodorant, some of those basic staples that you might need if you don't have all your stuff. But I have a small bag in my backpack that I always travel with that has clean socks, clean underwear, clean shirt. Okay. And when I was traveling with my daughter when she was younger, clean pants too, because I never know if young curious princess was gonna yak on Papa in the plane. All right, we're at the last two, so we're almost here to land the plane and open it up to Q&A. 49, habit 49 is related to my kombucha that I'm drinking, which is pro travelers hydrate relentlessly. They're acutely aware of the low humidity environment on the aircraft cabin, which leads to dehydration, which exacerbates jet lag and exacerbates fatigue. So they'll be sipping their water constantly through the flight to combat that jet lag, even if that means they gotta go use the potty a few more times. But that will allow them to arrive at their destination more refreshed and not needing to guzzle a bunch of water from the airport fire hydrant when they get there. And finally, the 50th habit that screams pro traveler is all these things allow them to maintain a mindset of calm detachment. Ultimately, the most telling sign of a seasoned traveler is this demeanor. They have a deep philosophical acceptance that air travel has numerous variables that are beyond their control, and they accept that. And they meticulously prepare for everything they can control, and they maintain a calm, flexible, problem-solving attitude about the rest. This lack of visible stress, even in the face of inconvenience, is the final and most definitive mark of a pro traveler. All right, it is now time, fellow explorers, for Q&A.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
I like this one. So in addition to Q&A, what are other habits that you think I missed on this list? Or if I was going to 51, what would that be? Travel Jack says, this is a good one. Pro travelers will not stand up the second they turn off the seatbelt sign. Just sit back and relax and let everybody else off, and then get off with your own pace with plenty of space. Super good tip, Travel Jack. Narrow Road says, Chris obviously has no idea how small my bladder is. Narrow Road, I have a very small bladder too, and I will tell you, I probably on most flights am getting up to go to the restroom every 90 minutes to 2 hours, just as like a regular habit. So, I watch a movie and then like at the end of the movie, after the meal, I get up and I go use the restroom. Then I try to sleep, but if I haven't slept after an hour and a half or 2 hours, I get up again and I go to the bathroom. And even if I don't have to go to the bathroom all that much, just like the act of like getting up and walking and stretching around, I find helps quite a bit. Brandon Torres said, the Curious Princess definitely had a pro traveler look in the last picture. There you go. I figured that was like the perfect mindset of calm detachment, just chilling like a villain there right by the plane. Okay. Let's put the question mark back up. Epic Wolf says, hi Chris, it was nice meeting you at Pretend City the other day. If you remember it, you were very welcoming and very nice in person. Thank you very much, Tim. I absolutely remember meeting you at Pretend City. It was great to meet you there too. Jeff Ian Me says, pros don't poop on the plane. You know what? I'm gonna have to modify that one and to say that, man, sometimes we all gotta poop. I would say pros don't plan to poop on the plane, and pros do what they can to poop somewhere else, like beforehand. But sometimes you can't control it. And in that case, pros poop on the plane. There we go. Okay. Remy says, how's the new Southwest assigned seating? I do not know. I have not flown Southwest since they've had assigned seating. If anybody has, let me know. Travel Jack says, I think the extra cost for nonstop flights is worth it for the convenience and time savings. I super agree with you. The Fandom Traveler, good to see you. He says, great list, Chris. Pro travelers know the rhythms of service on long-haul flights and are able to work around them to their advantage. That, too, about, like, when is the meal? When is the snack? When is the breakfast thing? And it's like, yes, long-haul flight, they're going to do meal service basically for the first 2 hours. If it's a really long flight or 14 hours, they're going to do some snack in the middle. And then usually 2 hours before arrival is when they're going to do some kind of breakfast thing. And so like working around that is also like, so if you know you got to use the potty, don't wait until they've served the breakfast and then everybody has to use the bathroom right after that. Like when they start to turn on the lights to serve breakfast and everybody's still kind of, oh, I'm kind of sleepy, I don't want to get up. Pro travelers, bathroom now before there is a big line. Points Traveler says, ever flown China Airlines many times. China Airlines is the flag carrier for Taiwan. So yes, we've flown China Airlines many times from LAX in Ontario to Taipei. Some mail says, arranging pickup directly through hotel for certain countries, more expensive but easiest and safest option. Great point, some mail. When my mom and I went to Beijing in China, we arranged our airport transportation through the JW Marriott that we were staying at. And it was totally worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It's like $50. Taxi was $20, but like the, having the hotel car there and having somebody meet us at the gate, like that was all super worth it. Derek says, how much cheaper does a connecting flight have to be rather than taking the nonstop flight? It depends where I'm going. So Osigo and I had this conversation recently where we were like, going to Japan or going to Taiwan, as an example, let's say to Japan, it's when we flew, I'll just give a specific example and I'll tell you what wasn't cheap enough for us to connect. To be like direct flights from LAX to Japan were $1,200. And I don't know, connecting flights that we were like connecting like Korea or something, maybe like $700 or $800. And that was not cheap enough for us to take the connection. It's also though, like we're traveling with a 5-year-old and so misconnecting is a much bigger deal. If I'm 20 years old and I'm traveling by myself, I don't know, it's maybe not so bad if I misconnect because then I explore Korea for a day on my way to Taipei. So like you just got to take all that math into the equation. But we really want to go where we're trying to go. So Lisa wants to double tap on pros packing an extra set of clothes in their carry-on. Thank you for that tip, Lisa. Shan points out that many Asian airlines have instant ramen as a snack if you ask for it. Thank you for that tip. They absolutely do. Soham says pro travelers carry cash for tipping. Certainly pro travelers that are in countries that tip. Or go to countries that tip. College Full of Love says pro travelers know how to make their older and youngest travelers bring a sweater so they don't complain about being cold the whole time. Yes, very good. College Full of Love. That's a good one. Narrow Road says excellent advice. Larry says pro travelers understand that if the attendants are asking people around you their drink preference, they'll be asking you the same question. Absolutely, Larry. It's like, what's your drink preference? What are the drinks? Food preference? You know, I'll sit there as they come down the aisle and they're saying what like the meal options are. You know, chicken or beef, chicken or beef, chicken or beef. I actually want to know that before they get to my aisle so that I have more time to think about it. And then I will also, like, as they're doing the food, if I can like see them uncover it so I can see what they are, you know, I'll even try to do that too. Oh, Kathy's on the airplane now. All right, thank you for, it's like live tweeting the boarding experience. All right, very good. Tiffany says, do you have any tips for traveling with a service dog? Tiffany, I've never traveled with a service dog, so I don't think I'd have anything relevant to share for tips. Justin, good to see you at Comic-Con, month, 2 ago? When was that? 2 months ago. Justin says, bringing your own noise-canceling headphones is a must. I forgot my cable on my last trip, and having used airplane's headphones much more unpleasant. I agree with you, Justin Cosplay. I found even in like premium economy or business class, the headphones to be super mediocre. Like, yeah, if you got a nice pair of Bose or Sonys or something like that, oh, they're better than anything any of the airlines provide. Boba Cola says, when families involve traveling changes, it certainly does. Alfredo Solo Travel says, I do connecting flights from Orange County, Denver to London just to avoid LAX. Travel Jack says, depending upon what airport you're in, sometimes you have to go through another security check before getting on your connecting flight. That is true. Soham says, pro traveler says, middle seats gets both armrests. They do. I agree with you, Soham. Middle seat gets both armrests because the aisle seats or the window seat, those people can do that. They can lean one way or the other, but the middle seats just suck. Middle seat is just stuck. Epic Wolf says, do you remember the days when we have free peanuts on every flight? I sure do. Southwest, home of the peanuts. Eddie says, do those French fries behind you come out of the French fry box? Which one? I have 2 French fries. French fries over here, and I have French fries over here. But these French fries over here, yeah, they come out of the box. They're Velcroed. It's like a Velcro bottom, the bottom of the thing, and then the In-N-Out Burger French fries over here. Yes, they come out of the box too. So now maybe everybody wondered that, and Eddie was the first person to ask. Okay. Brandon says, hey, we're 93 likes for the stream. Can we get to 100? If you have not given the stream a like, really helps your friend Chris on Yellow Productions here with the YouTube algorithm. So if you could please do me a favor and do that, I would appreciate it so much. So would Brandon too. Thank you, Brandon. I don't know, man, says only the elite travel experts watch Yellow Productions. If you're not using him, you're just a tourist. Thank you so much. I don't know, man. You are too kind. Travel Jack says, I'll have a Coke. Would you like that in the can? No, I'll drink it right here. Good. Tiger and Gunner says, I take my beanie on the plane just in case it gets cold on the plane. Narrow Road says, if I'm on a long trip, I'll reduce how much I need to pack by washing clothes halfway through the trip and use that day to relax. Good tip, Narrow Road. And I would assume, Narrow Road, you probably figured out where you're going to do that. Okay? Like, where on the trip is there laundry that you can actually do it there? Boba Cola says, will you make a video on the Japan Trusted Traveler program? I've not applied for it yet, but I will add that to the idea list. Remy says, what's your favorite online travel booking site? For hotels, it is plannin.com, plannin.com, link in the description below. I use that to book all of my hotels to Vegas and get a pretty good discount on it. For Flights, I generally book flights direct with the airlines, and I generally use Google Flights to search for them. I don't know, man. Says, where do I go in Japan? What do I take? I got a whole video series on Japan, so check that out. I got like a Japan travel planning guide, so that would be a good one to see some Japan travel itineraries. Dining with Derek says, pro travelers book their airplane meals in advance if offered by the airline. Super great tip, Derek. If you've got kids and you want them to have the kids meal, pro travelers will go in and select kids meal. I agree with you. And if I'm on like a business class flight and they allow me to book their meals in advance, I'm actually going to do that to make sure I get the one that I want. Eternal Trick says, how about middle seats on a jumbo jet? How do the armrests work? You mean if there's there's middle seat and middle seat? I don't know. Then it's a free for all, really. Chris Bates says, I love that Phoenix has a few nonstop flights to Europe, and next year Starlux to Taipei. Starlux is pretty great, Chris. So awesome. Alfredo Solo Travel says, I want that screen you have on your left. This is the Tidbit TIDBYT 2. That's what that screen is. Dadabetic says, Velcro bottom was my. Okay, never mind. People like the this and that. Kathy says, can I take my shoes? Can you take your shoes off on the plane? Here's my thought on taking shoes off on the plane. I don't take off my shoes until the plane is in the air. Why? Well, because if anything's gonna happen to the plane, like the plane's gonna like hit something, this and that, like, and I need to get off the plane while it's on the ground, I want my shoes to be on. But like by the time the plane is in the air, I've got a lot more warning. I need to put my shoes on. So me personally, I keep my shoes on until the plane is in the air. Van Life Traveler says, which of the 5 islands do you recommend visiting for Channel Islands National Park? I've never been to any of the islands on Channel Islands National Park. I've been to Catalina Island, but never Channel Islands. So, yes, BTVS says, pros ask for the whole soda can from the flight attendant. Indeed, some will give it to you, some won't. Nair Road says, my longer trips are rented condos and have in-room washers and dryers, but I've done it at a hotel before as well. Very good. Justin says, one thing I will do before going through security is unload everything I have into my pockets, in my backpack. The no issue going through the metal detectors. Great tip, Justin. Points Traveler says, can you select your seat when you purchase your seat on Starlux? Yes. You purchase your ticket, then you purchase like another $100 or $50 or whatever it is for the flight, and then you can select your seat after you've purchased the seat selection fee. Do you have to buy it first before selecting? You buy it first. You buy the reserved seat thing, and then yeah. I mean, or it's at the same time. I don't know how that works, but I should. I feel like it was buy seat, then get seat. But I could be wrong. It could have been buy a seat, select seat, then pay. I don't know. But it doesn't take long. My most Karen moment. Like when I've been Karen or when someone else has been Karen. I guess I'll describe another Karen on the plane. And this was absolutely like the inexperienced traveler, which is I had a connecting flight through Phoenix and the flight was delayed. And this lady next to me, she's like, really wants to get off the plane, you know? And she's like, I got a short connection. I really got to go. Can people let me go? Come on. Can you all hurry up? Come on. And it's like, lady, 80% of this plane is connecting in Phoenix. And by you in row 40 going like, come on. Like, isn't making the people in row 10 move any faster because they can't even hear you. It reminded me of one of those, like, she's a kindergartner, but she was probably like 65 years old and just like inexperienced traveler, really stressed, booked way too short of a connection, definitely not exuding the calm. Okay. Point Traveler says, so for Starlux, you don't know the seats available until after you purchase your ticket. I don't remember now, Points Traveler. Sorry. I feel like there's a way to see, but I could be wrong. P. Nguyen says, what food do you avoid on the plane? What food do I avoid on the plane? I don't know. Like, is that like things to order from their menu? Food, things that I avoid bringing on? Like, I generally won't bring on like a lot of really smelly food. So like tuna. I tend to avoid things I think will go bad. So like mayonnaise-based things, like egg salad sandwiches type things. I tend to stick to like meat and potatoes kind of stuff that I'm like, oh, like this probably keeps well for a while. Jeffy and Mace's Pro Travelers watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Super great movie. Super great movie. Travel Jack says, I was on a flight once when somebody tried smoking in the bathroom and set off the alarm. Oh, that's fun. Chris Bates says, I don't do special meals anymore because they aren't special. The airlines have found a way to make gluten-free, low sodium, diabetic, and kosher the same thing. It's usually tasteless. It probably is. And Travel Jack says, if you've ever watched the movie, you would know not to have the fish. Saber says, don't put your stuff in a bin more than 2 rows from where you're sitting unless all are full near where you're sitting, and then you have to put them somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, if they're full, right? What do? You got to put it somewhere, and especially if you carry on, can't put it on your seat. We've all been on those kind of flights. But I agree with you. If the bins around you are available, put them there. But, you know, I've had times when, like, the bins for 10 rows from my seat were taken, and you got to put it someplace. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Q&A time.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. It's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
It's not Q&A time, round 2. I've clearly been going too long on the live stream, and the hot lights are getting to me. Okay, so in giveaway time, something I always do on giveaway time is I give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt to somebody who can answer one of my questions. And my question for you today, we're gonna do 2 giveaways. I'm gonna do one about the video today, and then I'm gonna do one about the video that I posted yesterday about Paradise Dynasty. So if you watch that one, then you've got a chance to win on that one. So we're gonna do the first one, which is, I showed a picture earlier. Oh, earlier, not that one. Not that one too. I'm not gonna show you the picture. I showed a picture earlier from a Japanese train station. What Japanese train station was I at in that picture? Or at least what Japanese train station did I say I was at? If you're the first person to put that in the chat, you will win a Yellow Productions crew shirt. This one shipped to you. My second question to you is, you can say these at the same time. My second question for you to win the second chance Yellow Productions crew shirt is in the Paradise Dynasty video that I published yesterday. What was the flavor, the special flavor of the xiaolongbao, the soup dumplings that I was eating? And by that, I don't mean the cheese one. I mean the other special limited edition flavor that they had at Paradise Dynasty. All right, so I can see we have our first winner.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
Okay, the picture was this picture right here of our luggage, and the answer to this was Ueno Station, and Dining with Derek was the first person to say Ueno Station in Japan. Congratulations, Derek. You win the Yellow Productions crew shirt. Send me an email to chris@yellow-productions.com, and I will get that headed out to you with your size and your address. And the person who won the second answer is Soham. Yes, in the Paradise Dynasty video, they had Tom Yum flavored xiaolongbao as their specialty xiaolongbao collaboration. So congratulations, Soham. Well, all right, fellow explorers, always a pleasure hanging out with you today. If you wonder when is the next live stream, probably back on Tuesday next week. But if you really want to know, sign up for the Yellow Productions update. I'll send you an email as soon as I schedule a live stream with the time and the date and the topic, so you can decide whether you want to come or not. And if you didn't win a shirt, but you want to buy one, you can do so from the Yellow Productions shop. Link is right there. I always love when my fellow explorers send me pictures from themselves around the world with their Yellow Productions swag, and I post them up on the Yellow Productions community tab. I love the photos that I got recently from a fellow explorer in Greece wearing his Yellow Productions attire. Well, all right, fellow explorers, as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in the next video.